Hi, this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 58. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for News Recap 101. So just a quick summary of some of the content to go over today. One is the DAC, the Decentralized Autonomous Corporations, sometimes thought of the guilds in Star Atlas. Go over a little bit of some stats on those. Comment on a interview that the CEO of Star Atlas, Michael Wagner, gave. Little heads up because the Atlas Brew didn't occur this week, and they're getting ready for the upcoming Community Week. So talk a little bit about the COPA, the guild nominees that are up for some awards. And then talk a little bit about some of the automation in Sage, and end up with just a couple kind of things just making me think and personal experiences within Star Atlas. So before we get started, just a couple quick, or not updates, but can't think of what it is. Anyways, just a couple things about a couple of Star Atlas projects I'm working on. One is a merch store that I'm trying to create called Intergalactic Gear. That's at intergalacticgear.com. Still slowly developing that. Unfortunately, due to my medical issue, I'm behind again, multiple weeks. But anyways, if you go to intergalacticgear.com, there is a merch survey there. I'd love to get some feedback to learn more about what Star Atlas merchandise you'd be interested in. And also looking to create I used to call it a non-guild guild. I guess you can call it now just a DAC. But basically a community for Star Atlas gamers that aren't actually interested in joining any of the guilds, but yet still want to hang out in a smaller setting than the Star Atlas Discord to chat with other Star Atlas gamers. It's called Intergalactic Coalition, intergalacticcoalition.com. I have an interest survey there. If that's something you sound like you might be interested in or learn more about it, you can fill out that survey. Once I get enough people, we'll go ahead and kind of launch that community. So let's go ahead and get into the main content section. A week ago, Metaverse Nomads, who have their weekly Star Atlas live stream on YouTube, I guess for my time it's Sunday morning, but of course there's time zones. They had an interview with someone I've now forgotten. Anyways, I believe he used to be a Star Atlas employee who was on part of the econ team. I think it was Steven Sobel. Anyways, if you go to my website, you can get a link and you'll find out his name. Sorry, I'm just terrible. I just need to write these things down, and I don't. So anyways, he had been creating some reports using the flip style. I don't know. Again, sorry. You write these things down, and a week later, you only remember what you wrote down. So, but it was really a fascinating interview, partly because obviously, since he used to work at Star Atlas, he knows a lot about the programs that were created, the interaction with the blockchain. I forget what they call them, but the programs on the blockchain. And he was talking about different things. And obviously now that the DAC platform exists and the DACs, i.e. guilds predominantly, can create an entity that exists on the blockchain, and then people can join that entity, there's ways to start looking at very interesting statistics. And one of them that's cool, obviously, how many wallets are associated with each guild, but then if those wallets had Star Atlas ships, you can kind of make a interpolation about the number of ships that are in a guild. So actually, I do think this is really fascinating things, because up until this point, my vague understanding of the blockchain analytics was, you could figure out how many wallets connected to some part of Star Atlas. You could figure out if a wallet had a Star Atlas asset, whether a ship or some of the resources or things like that, but they were all unique. Or I shouldn't say unique. They all existed in isolation. You didn't know who they were and things like that. So everything now is on the blockchain. But what was very interesting about the interview was just because the data is there, it's how it's presented and how the report is created. And just a quick background, I was an IT manager for many years, dealt with a lot of line of business or quote unquote enterprise apps, but definitely databases, that ran businesses. So, I'd get questions from the CEO or the general manager. How many sales, this or that. So I was dealing with a lot about reports. But what was interesting again, so just taking that background and combining it with now this kind of stuff about data or information on the blockchain, the information is just there, but it doesn't have any meaning. So data has to be transferred into information, and a report is one way to do that. But what I took away and was reminded of from when I was building reports on databases is it's really how the report was created. So there's a lot of decisions that go into how that data is organized, whether it's grouped together, summarized, whatever. And some data you actually exclude because it doesn't make sense or whatever. So I thought that was, again, very interesting to remember that the reports that were being shown by anybody who's building blockchain reports for Star Atlas is applying, I'm not going to say bias, but they are making decisions on how to display the data as information. And so we do need to take reports that what we see is not necessarily the raw data, because it can't be. You couldn't make any sense of it, but it is decisions have been made on how that data is being presented. So again, it was a great point to make, and something, again, I think we have to remember when we're looking at these different ones. They are made by people, and they have made certain decisions on how that data is displayed. But moving on, the most interesting thing, of course, was looking at the different guild comparisons out there. And the first one, of course, was membership in guilds. So again, it's quote unquote on the blockchain now. But again, I realized, and I think they may have mentioned it, that again, you could join a guild, a guild could create a ton of wallets and join it, and it looks like there's a lot of people there. But again, a wallet doesn't necessarily mean. But if the wallet has a ship or some other aspect, again, this is where the reports come into play, that says, hey, maybe they were in Sage and maybe they moved around in Sage or something. Yeah, more likely an active player. So again, will be interested to see how the people who are building reports kind of handle this, but also start showing something that we can actually start looking at this. And the other thing that was mentioned was that a wallet can join multiple DACs. Now, if that was strictly a guild, yeah, that does seem a little, I shouldn't say nefarious, but odd. I mean, if you're joining a guild, you're, I assume, not going to be a member of another guild. But again, I guess that depends on the guilds. But I'm going to give Star Atlas credit here. Again, they're not calling them guilds. They're calling them DACs, decentralized autonomous corporations. Now, a corporation could be a guild, could also be a different community. It could be a content creator. I know Beyond the Rising created his own DAC. It could be one of the IP builders. I know Gallia Merchants created a DAC. So again, I think we need to make sure to realize that expanding our definition of a DAC is important. So joining multiple of those makes perfect sense. And again, this is a simple thing that the reports could do is, and again, maybe this is hopefully a new version of the DAC platform, is at Star Atlas, they have some tags right now, like what faction you're in. I mean, there should be a tag for a guild. So, and I would be perfectly fine if that is manually approved by a Star Atlas employee. In other words, you should have an application process to be a guild. And if you apply, then you can have that tag associated with your DAC. So now report creators can say, okay, filter only by this approved tag. So again, it's early, but I see lots of potential. But again, I think ultimately we have to expand our definition of what a DAC is. So next topic, a couple posted around Twitter X that Michael Wagner gave a review to a podcast called How I Met W3. Though as I listened to it, they were kind of commenting like when this comes out, and then they mentioned the metagravity test, which pretty sure was middle of January. Again, I'm kind of forgetting. So this may have been recorded earlier, or maybe this is just when it finally got promoted within Twitter. So just a couple things that came out of that interview. And again, if you want to listen to the whole thing, please go to intergalacticherald.com, look for News Recap 101. Michael Wagner did say now, quote, they are financially stable. So that's, again, good. We're hearing more and more. So I'm, again, assuming that the direct sales within the marketplace are helping. The transaction fees that occur within the marketplace, the transaction fees that occur within Sage are what are now providing a consistent revenue stream where Wagner could say they are financially stable. So again, it's great to know we seem to have got over the whole is there enough runway question, and we can kind of put the financials in the rearview mirror. One of the most important, or one of the most interesting things he mentioned, I think one of the people interviewing was talking about quote unquote mainstream gamers and how to onboard them. And Michael Wagner was very upfront about that. At this point, that's actually not the team's idea. They're not really interested in that, and they're really more of trying to position Star Atlas as an actual Web3 game, not just a Web3 game or sorry, not just a game, and then, by the way, it has some Web3 components. So some past stuff where lots of talk of other games, maybe it was a lot of the different ones because Metaverse Nomads do talk about other games. We're mentioning how onboarding isn't critical, but we can hide the wallets and all that. But Michael Wagner did say, no, we do, as a company, they really believe in the self-custody of the wallet and your assets. And again, that's great. So I think it's, again, something to keep in mind that the team is, I guess, in one sense, going to be Web3 first. And mainstream gamers, great. But if you want to come over here and have the benefits of owning your own assets and maybe some play to earn or earn and play or whatever the terms are now, that you really need to start embracing the idea of a wallet creation. But he did mention the idea maybe they could come up with some sort of way to gamify the new wallet creation. And again, he didn't say this, but I was kind of thinking like a tutorial level or initial level where playing the game would teach you how to build your wallet or something. Again, he didn't expand upon that. But again, I think still good. I mean, I think the key is not how, but you will have an onboarding process, because I think, again, there's nothing, it's the adjective. I'm a gamer. I'm not a mainstream gamer. I'm not a casual gamer. I'm not a Web3 gamer. I'm a gamer. So console gamer, PC gamer. We're just gamers. And so if a game looks interesting, if that product can help us get into it, so be it. I mean, that's, again, we should be about gaming. Again, that's my take. I don't like that a PC gamer can't be a console gamer and a console gamer hates. Again, it's this Mac, Windows. Anyways, moving on. Wagner did also mention, and again, I'm not gonna. He said summer or something, but again, we have been down this road before. Dates don't mean anything, and I'm tired of even contemplating it. But what he did mention is the next version of the showroom is definitely the one they're focusing on having the racing. But again, the racing with Metagravity support. And that all makes sense on kind of what we're seeing with the current version of the showroom, having different racing tracks, moving in that direction. We've seen the videos of the quote-unquote, Mario Kart on steroids. We've seen the Metagravity support. And it sure is feeling like, as far as the showroom, the UE5 version, that the next iteration will really be focused on racing. And again, there's plenty of racing ships for that. And the Metagravity support where we could all be in one instance of the race watching in the stands. So again, that's great. It seems to be, again, their kind of roadmap on how they're progressing forward with that. So, but I guess it was the first time I kind of heard that the racing and the Metagravity support kind of go hand in hand. And again, as soon as he said it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember hearing this and this and that. So, and then just the final point in the interview, because I haven't had one, I'm kind of assuming with holidays and things like that, a lot of podcasters were kind of taking it easy. But again, there were lots of similar points that he has given in other interviews. But again, it's always nice to be reminded of the kind of big vision of Star Atlas. And again, we got to remember that these interviews aren't really to the current Star Atlas community. They're to the community of the podcaster, the person interviewing, to keep the project raising awareness. I think this one was aligned with the Neo Tokyo, so that makes perfect sense. So again, but it was just nice to always, again, be reminded of the vision of Star Atlas, especially when, kind of things are quieter or we're too much wrapped up in the internal stuff within the Star Atlas community. So speaking of the Star Atlas community, there was not a Atlas Brew this last week, which partly was cool because there was one less hour I had to find to listen to it, but also there was nothing new because, again, the Atlas Brews seem to be the predominant way. But again, all this makes sense because next week, or this upcoming week, is the big community week with multiple events from Town Hall, the Community Awards, the Joni Awards, the Copa Awards, which are more for the guilds. I think there might have been another event. Anyways, should have put a link to what all those events were. But again, I'm more about what has happened, not what's going to happen. But just again, there was no Atlas Brew, so a little lighter on the content. However, there was a update on I guess I'm pretty sure, I assume by now, the Community Joni Awards nominees have already been voted on, but there was the first time where the Copa Awards, which again are more awards for the guilds, were mentioned. And Kriggs at the Hologram News Network published an article about that. And what was interesting was, one, there were, I believe, 20 applicants, and 9 were selected to present. But what was interesting was a few previous winners didn't make it to the final round. And again, I'm not sure what to make of that. But at least the ones that were finalists were kind of seen. So again, I think with the DAC platform out now, with an opportunity for, again, the guilds to promote themselves, next week's Community Week should be a really great opportunity if, again, you're into those things. And if you've listened to this podcast, you know I'm not into guilds. I want to start my own just community of just gamers that aren't really interested in the guilds. But nevertheless, embracing all play styles. Guilds are great. They've existed in games for a long time. Fits a lot of people's gameplay style. So more power to all of that. So anyway, so that's coming up. But I just mentioned the fact that it's been kind of whittled down. This past week, Beyond the Horizon published another episode in his Sage versus Score YouTube series. This was another additional collaboration with Satoshi Mama, who has been helping with the automation tools within Sage. And they mentioned a new one. And I'm going to be, unfortunately, upfront. I might have skimmed the previous ones a little too much. So I was kind of like, wait, where's all this stuff coming from? But again, that was, and I'll be upfront about that. It's just because I don't have time to play Sage. So learning how an automation tool works to the details, like click here, do this setup, again, it was information I didn't need. So maybe this was mentioned before, so I'm apologizing that I haven't. But this one I actually listened to because I was trying to figure this out. So they mentioned a couple of things called a Lancer and a Handler. And what I kind of gathered is these were ways to share wallets or share your ships via other wallets. So again, just really fascinating things because, again, this is all community driven. I don't believe any of this has been created by the Star Atlas team. And so just the idea that, again, you could, in effect, give trust to someone else to manage your Star Atlas access in Sage, because the way it was set up is Beyond Horizon put his fleet, gave permissions to Satoshi Mama to then create the fleets, or maybe not the fleet, but definitely set up the configuration in the Sly Labs assistant tool. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And again, this is all community driven. Again, I apologize since I didn't watch every minute of every video. I'm not sure if this is different than the Sly Labs assistant or it's part of it. But anyways, it was still very, very interesting, the level of automation that's existing. But one interesting note is it sounded like there needed to be some trust that could not be guaranteed through blockchain systems. Now, again, I'm not 100% sure I heard that right. But again, interesting, but yeah, anyways, I'll get to that in a second. So after Satoshi Mama did her kind of thing, then Beyond Horizon came back in. He said he would do a larger video later, but he noted some returns on it. And I have to admit, they were definitely like, whoa, I think it was like $127 for 8 days worth of work on this new system. And again, he had made money before. So I'm hoping at the end, and again, I think he alluded to that the next video, he was going to go into more depth. So I'm definitely coming around that, yeah, Sage has the potential, if again you're into the economy gameplay, i.e. trying to get a return on your investment for buying the ships through, again, getting resources and selling them. Cool. This is great, and I really want to compliment both of them for spending the time because, to be honest, I'm not aware of anybody else who's actually put in enough effort that I would consider this basically a tutorial where you could start from the beginning and end with having an automation system set up for Sage. So I a lot of credit to both of them for creating all of this. However, personally, I still don't have enough time. I was thinking, oh, this would be cool. I could set this up and I could run it. And I was like, again, and I know I've been kind of harping on this, but I'm in a time deficit in my business, personal, hobby life. And even though it could be better, it's still not enough. I don't have enough time to do that. And I guess I want to caveat all this. The return that he was showing, I mean, it was like, this isn't latte money anymore. This is definitely moving up. Again, I'm sure it's not even minimum wage, but again, it wasn't insignificant. And that's really piqued my curiosity a lot more. But I had to stop and say, yeah, or I could get a new client for my business. And yeah, the rewards are not comparable at that point. So, I mean, I guess, again, if you have the time, great, go for it. I think this is great. I mean, I'd love my college-age son to do this. And in fact, I was toying with the idea of saying, hey, by the way, you can earn some real money for him, not real, you know what I mean? Yeah, different budget scopes. But anyway, so just again, for me personally, just still don't have enough time to even set all this stuff up. But it is cool to see this, and even to the point of, some collaboration of how the tools could work, where you could have someone else kind of do something. So again, this is all just fascinating progression on this, and very interesting, again, just for me this time. But there was one thing that I kind of alluded to it about the trust. I think, and again, I know the Start Atlas team is not going to vet these tools, and that makes perfect sense. It opens up to lots of legal risks and things like that. The community is very open about sharing the tools and helping, and so I don't want to point any fingers at any people or that they're not doing this out of help. But we've also heard of instances where people have abused trust and stolen stuff, and may have alluded to a year ago or two, I lost some money out of my non-hardware wallet because I didn't know any better, but I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't even home, and somebody drained my wallet. So fortunately, I didn't have much. It was under $100, but it was a very valuable lesson. And I've been, again, we need to worry about security. And now with more substantial assets that I've added, so hopefully as we move forward that there can be some systems, some security audits. I know the team does security audits on them. Maybe there could be some sort of system set up where, again, I don't know, that community tools could still have that same sort of security audits performed. I don't even know how much those cost. Maybe it's cost prohibitive. I don't know. But definitely, just as a quick side, I guess it's not a question of it being open source. I know some of these tools have their source code programming on GitHub, so anybody can look at it. But again, that doesn't matter. It doesn't do me any good. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm not a programmer, so I can't validate anything. So, but I guess I'm still of the opinion that if I connect my wallet to something, I am having to trust that something. So, I guess I have to trust that Start Atlas isn't going to steal my money or steal my assets. But again, as it goes further down, caution, beware. But again, don't want to stifle the community development. But I think, again, at some point, somebody, whether it's community-led or team-led, needs to move forward with kind of adding that security auditing level so that we can have a little more faith that these tools are safe, whatever that means. But again, we're still early and don't want to at all stop anybody from doing anything. But again, that was kind of my other big takeaway from all this. And then just the last couple of things, even though I didn't think I had enough content, so I wrote down some things, but something popped up and I can't remember which thing triggered it, but it was this concept of, quote, playing a game. And I actually realized that the definition of a game wasn't shared by what I heard and what I was thinking. Because, again, to me, I think of a traditional video game, the original Pac-Man, Pong, the next generation, sorry, too many things. But, the traditional things like a first-person shooter or real-time strategy or, all the MMO, Warcraft, things like that, that all these traditional video games were really about accomplishing a goal through interactions. Now, again, that's just the definition I came up with. But I guess I realized that people were saying that they're playing the Start Atlas game by using the marketplace. And I was really like, what? And I know there's an opportunity, I think Metaverse Explorer kind of brought up to again when he did kind of, here's all the games, and again he pointed out, the metaverse is a game, and kind of talking about the arbitrage, sell high, buy low, things like that. Literally just looking for differences in price and there. And again, that sounds like the stock market to me, so not a problem. But I guess I started realizing that to some people that is the game, or is a game. And I was like, oh, okay. So again, maybe I just need to, much like I was saying we shouldn't put adjectives on who gamers are, I guess also I should apply my own thing and not say, well, somebody just selling and buying within the marketplace isn't playing the Start Atlas game. Obviously, people mining resources in Sage, that's closer to gaming, my traditional term, but it's definitely, strategy and things like that. So anyways, it is, again, just kind of making me realize, again, when I hear somebody say, I'm playing a game in Start Atlas, again, they could just be using the marketplace, and that's a game too. So anyways, just saying I need to broaden my definitions. And then the last two things, I had a couple tasks on my personal to-do list for Start Atlas, and I actually accomplished them, so I thought I would just share with that. So one, I finally used StarPath. So I had set up StarPath links for my different Start Atlas ventures. So the Intergalactic Herald has a StarPath, Intergalactic Gear has one, Intergalactic Coalition has one. And I decided, hey, the new ship came out. Why don't I buy it on my quote unquote gaming wallet where all my actual Star Atlas assets are, and I'll connect it to Intergalactic Herald. And I click the link because it's mine, so I trust it, obviously. And I was actually surprised by how just straightforward the experience was. The marketplace had a visual indicator that I'm getting a discount. That was cool. So I bought it and paid less than the list price. Cool. So then I went into the Intergalactic Herald, had to remember where that is. It's in the profile of your Star Atlas account on the Star Atlas website. You click a button, it moves off to the buddy link thing, and there was a standard claim button. So I claimed it, and there was that one. Now, again, I don't remember what the percentages are and things like that, but they were discounted. So again, I'd never experienced it before, but definitely I think this is way better than the first iteration and very, very streamlined for both perspectives, i.e. the person using someone's Star Path, straightforward, the Star Path people getting their affiliate commissions or whatever. So again, really great. But again, just as a public service announcement, again, this is an affiliate relationship. There is money exchanging hands. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, does have rules around this, so disclosures are required because there is a monetary incentive. So again, due diligence, the classic, this isn't financial advice, this isn't legal advice, but this is advice. If you're going to use it, go make sure to do your research. Anyways, it's still a great thing. And then the last and final thing I did was I set up my own DACs. So I set up a DAC for the Intergalactic Herald, one for the merch store, and one for the community. And definitely the process is initial. Again, but the team never said it was perfect. I think some of the initial 24-hour bugs that were mentioned in Buncracker's newsletter, I didn't experience any of those, so hopefully they fix all those. I was totally annoyed by the fact that the images, the banner images, kept failing for safe search, and I don't know what the issue was. I just picked a different image because these are just background images and finally got approved. So that definitely needs to be corrected. I mean, I get why they're doing safe search. People are going to abuse the system, but it's way too restrictive right now, and I'm just FYI. I mean, but I'm sure the team knows that. So the creation process went fine. Cool to be on the blockchain. Played around a little with the tags, but just kept with the unaligned. And yeah, it was really cool seeing the interface and seeing your name and your thing created there. So and again, not encouraging people to spam, but if you have a legit thing you want to create in Star Atlas, that is a decentralized autonomous corporation, whether that's a guild, an IP project, you're a content creator, again, something that, quote unquote, people want to join. And again, until Star Atlas gives us better terms on who and why you're joining things, yeah, definitely go reserve your thing. It's pretty straightforward. I can't remember what the Solana transaction fees were, but it all seemed good. Oh, one thing that I did stumble upon, at least on my newer ones, apparently I had to create a Sage account or something I'm not really sure. It was late at night and I just wanted to get it done. So, but there was some sort of Sage thing. So again, the team was upfront that this was really rough in the initial version 0 thing. But anyways, if you have a need, go create them. I think Metaverse Explorer and Beyond the Horizon each had a video of them creating theirs. So definitely if you're interested, do that. So anyway, so that's it for this week. You may tell I'm slightly feeling better, though not 100%, but at least I'm not exhausted at the end of this one. So again, if you want to look at any of the articles or video mentioned, please go to intergalacticherald.com. Look for News Recap 101. Forgot to give my standard, if you're interested in being a guest, definitely open to having more people on. It was great having Jose from Star Atlas talk about lore. I guess that was just the last episode. No, 2 episodes ago. So that was great. I'm going to try to see if I can get some more Star Atlas employees for some more beginner series. But also interested in interviewing any community members about what they're doing, build members, definitely. And if, again, anybody just wants to talk about the week in review, I'll love to do kind of a roundtable thing. So, and then wrap it up with, again, if you're interested in helping me with my merch store, I'd love to get your feedback on what kind of merch you're interested at. Please go to intergalacticgear.com. And if you're interested in joining a community of Star Atlas gamers who aren't joining guilds but nevertheless want to kind of hang out and chat about Star Atlas, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and sign up for the interest survey there. And that's it for me. Hope everybody has a great week ahead. If you're participating in the community week, enjoy the events. I will try to catch up next weekend on everything assuming hopefully somebody records them. But yeah, we'll see what the team has out. If they make any announcements at any of the things, something we could talk about next week. Otherwise, again, that's Matt. Sorry. Just to end, again, I'm Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.